Hello, my name is Rabbi Haim Sofer, and I'm a Jewish scholar student. I'm studying the Torah most of the day. With a small part of the day, I'm working also. My background is my parents were born in Iraq, and they were forced to immigrate by the Zionist terror squads that blew up, unfortunately, Jewish synagogues, Jewish cultural and business centers in order to make the Jews thinking that the Muslim doesn't want them in Iraq anymore. And that's how they forced the forced immigration from Iraq to Palestine in the beginning of the 50s, 51, 52, 53. About 110,000 Jews were forced to immigrate to Palestine, replacing the natural historical indigenous, the Palestinians. And they were forced to flee and expelled about 900,000 Palestinians, unfortunately, at Al-Nakba, at the disastrous war of 1948. Yes, I was born in Palestine, and I enjoyed all my life with the extraordinary great relations with the Palestinian neighbors that left in Palestine that luckily were not expelled. I was connected to anti-Zionist rabbis in Palestine that explained to me and to many other Jews as in Palestine the danger for having a Zionist state in Palestine. As we Jews, as you know, Jews are in exile, they're not allowed to have their own state, not in Africa, not in Russia, not in America, and especially not in Palestine. They were ordered not to revolt against the Palestinians and not against any other nation. We're not allowed to have an army. We're not allowed to create our own nation, not a currency, not anything that what will show us that we have a nationalist, expansionist aspirations. We're just Jews that considered Jews with our religion. We are in exile under the divine decree, and we've been ordered to keep great relations with our non-Jewish neighbors. And we're going to talk about it, about how Jews and Muslims used to live. And first of all, I'd like to bring you regards from tens of thousands of Jews that lives in England, non-Zionist Jews in Stamford Hill, Gateshead, Manchester, and more places. Orthodox Jews that do not recognize the existence of the State of Israel, refusing to go to live there and to send their children to serve in the Zionist vicious terrorist army that are bringing to reality the expansionism and brutality of Zionism, which turned to be a Zionist supremacist power that would like to expand, deport, destroy, kill, just because they think that they're the great people, they're the one. Zionists are not considered Jews. They uprooted most of the principles of the Torah. They're distorting the Torah. They're using expansion, occupation, and genocide forcibly in the name of the Torah. According to the Torah, there's no such thing. Jews are supposed to be good to non-Jews. Jews were always had enjoyed a great relationships with the Muslim nation. As we see, we've been ordered to give charity for non-Jews, to visit their sick people, and God forbid if they die and no one can take care of them from the Muslims, we have to give them a respected burial. And it was both ways. There is any justification even without the Torah. The Torah is not allowed in the occupation of Palestine. The Torah is not allowed the rebellion against the Palestinians. But is there any human justification to have a state of Israel with a military that would so-called protect himself? Israel was, of course, with all its atrocities, occupation, expansionism, and genocide which they conducting against the Palestinian people, are considered itself as the victim. And that's because of their enormous power in the world media, that they control completely the world media in America, in England, and unfortunately now they're working hard to control the social media. So always they're trying to distort and to rewrite and to rebuild the new history, that there was no way how to protect the Jews but only to conquer Palestine, create a strong army, genocide the Palestinians or even other nations from the surrounding neighbors, and that's how Jews will survive. Is that really the case, that Jews couldn't survive by Muslim states, especially by the Khilafah? Throughout the history of Muslims, of the Islamic Ummah, Jews could have not survived, or they were the country were survived, protected, had mercy and tolerance for the Muslims. So if we just looked about the foundation of Islam, Al-Khalif Omar Abu Bakr and his Khalif Omar ibn Khattab, Al-Khalif Uthman, Al-Khalif Harun ibn Rashid, the Bet Umayyah Khalifat, the Abbasidi Khalifat, the Fatimid Khalifat in Egypt. They all had an outstanding history of tolerating and respecting and protecting the Jews and have them under their custody. That's all started at the time officially put the foundation, the Khalif Omar bin Khattab, which was a great righthood Khalif, and he put the foundation that the non-Muslims has to be taken under what? The mercy and protection of Islam, of the Muslim nation, and they will be able to what? To practice their own religion, and they will be able to what? To have to live freely under the protection of the Muslim government. This foundation was kept, and in exchange to pay the jizya. The jizya was a symbolic tax that the Muslim put on the Jews or even other religions to show subservience and loyalty to the Caliphate. That's it. That was the whole aim of the jizya. The Jews were very happily paid the jizya because they knew that they received a lot more than that. Poor Jews were exempt from the jizya. Jizya was not a tax that was forced by power. People was very happy to collect it and to bring it to the offices of the Muslim kingdom from Morocco till Afghanistan, because they knew what they received back. Muslim neighbors with Jewish neighbors lived so peaceful. They used to babysit each other. They used to invite to the weddings each other, of such an extent that we don't see today that much, because unfortunately there's very few Jews left over that lives in the Muslim countries. If we go to the Andalus, to the Golden Era, the Golden Era in Spain that continued for the first 300 years, when the Muslim army came from Morocco and through the Gibraltar Water Strait released Spain, and there the Jews were very happy to receive the Muslim army, and the Khalif Abdurrahman I, which fled from, he was the descendant of Bet Umayyah. He was at the Abbasids captured what in Baghdad the center of power from the Bet Umayyah, which their center was in Damascus, but the Abbasids built their center of power and culture in Baghdad. And he fled from Baghdad, he came to Spain, and he created his own caliphate, a very powerful caliphate that was continued for 300 years. He and his son and the grandson, Abdurrahman III, and Al-Hakim first and Hakim second, with another few kings, for 300 years. That was considered the golden era. Jews, even though that enjoyed from a great time all over the Muslim states, but Jews will always remember that the golden era in Spain, it was a time that the Jews developed their religion of such an extent that most of our Jewish religious books from 1,000 years ago are dated to Spain, because the time that Jews enjoyed over there from such a great freedom of religion, and they were able to practice their religion and to develop their religion to such an extent that we didn't see even though that in Iraq could have been compete with the freedom of religion that we had in Spain, but it was like it was parallel, even though it was two types of caliphate. Here it was the Abbasids, and he was a descendant of the Bet Umayyah, and but the Jews were tolerated to such an extent that we have longingness to that time, really. But then it didn't end up even there. In the time that the Muslims has been driven out from Spain, the Jews went with the Muslims together, and they left Spain, and they were again welcomed by Muslim states in Morocco, Tunisia, Algeria, Libya, Egypt, and Turkey. The Sultan of Turkey, Abdul Hamid, said he was very happy to receive tens of thousands of Jews. He says the king of Spain, he didn't have a brain, that he kicked out all the Jews from Spain. My country will flourish now, because Jews are very, very good in business, and he welcomed them. He promised them again. He assured them that their religious rights will not be harmed, will not be touched, as it was in any of Muslim country. It was like a tradition by the Muslim to confirm and to reassure the religious rights of Jews up till this time. And what should we say? The 500 years of the Turkish Caliphate, the Turkish Ottoman Empire, also we're very proud that the Jewish religion was flourished at that time in Palestine, in all the northern Arab countries, Iraq, Transjordan, Syria, Lebanon, and of course in Turkey. Blood libels were not allowed even to be brought to the court. All these vicious, blood libels that Jews are using was blood for their religion, which is one of the biggest lies. Jews are not allowed. Even Jews, we eat chicken, we have to drain out the blood from the chicken, from the cow. And here they tell us that we drink, God forbid, blood from children. And by the Muslim states, it was forbidden according to the Sharia, according to the Muslim law. There was no right for anyone to bring such a false claim against Jews by the Muslim courts. And we're very thankful for that, for giving us the right to practice our religion. Our economy was flourished. We had a great time. We were being protected. So there was no reason for us why to just say, finished. Now we would like to become enemies. How could it be after such a 1400 years of such a great time, suddenly we're going to change our attitude and say, no, it's time now to bomb you, to kill you, to expand. Those Jews who live among the Muslims never dreamed about having a state and an army and to fight the Muslims. If you would have told to some Jews, you would like to have your own army to protect yourselves against the Arab countries, you would have thought that you're drunk or you're just simply crazy. And we will say, okay, I can take your name to pray for you that you should be healed from your sickness. And that's who are the Zionists? A nationalist movement which does not recognize the authority of the Torah, who does not recognize there was God's will that Jews are supposed to remain in exile till the day which God will unite all the world to worship one God with Messiah. If you look at all the prophets, Isaiah, Jeremiah, Amos, yes, and all the 48 was the prophets which were written by us. The thing is that the whole world will benefit from Messiah. There's no conquest, there's no killing. Messiah will bring the whole world to worship one God and receive a new studies from God to bring a better world creation. No one will think about killing, no one will think about expanding, no one will think about stealing. Money will be it was so prosperous, the world, that people will not think about it. People will think one thing: I'd like to serve God. I'd like to hear what God wants for me. I'd like to make myself more spiritual and better. Many people, no one. That's the era of Messiah. That's why all the world will accept Messiah, but according to what we believe, yes, is because that He will bring to a better world, a world with peace, without any bloodshed, without any hatred. All these disputes about oil, gas, natural resources, we usually bring all these disputes to fight each other. All this will be disappeared. No one, if I'll tell you, I found for you oil area full with oil, you can come get yourself, you can become a multimillionaire. So just leave me alone. I'd like to serve God. I'd like to pray for God the whole day. That's interesting me. At that time, that's what the Maimonides says, that all the Jews never waited for Messiah to control, expand, and to be supremacist or to step at the head of the nations. No. Nothing near to that. It's just that we want to rest and to serve God. And all the nations, the world nations will not be on the other side of the road. They will join us. So that's why there'll be no really resistance from the world people. Zechariah, the great prophet Zechariah says, when Messiah will come, so a lot of huge movement of world nations, let's go to Jerusalem to study how to serve God under Messiah. That's what will happen with these nations. And there will be, the world will go to a higher level of spiritualism that we cannot understand now. However, Zionism, the nationalist movement, does not believe in all these things. They believe to be strong, to expand, to kill, to be vicious, to feel that, to behave like a barbaric, like the Mongolians in 1,000 years ago. That will bring for them the blessed. That will bring for them the defense. Never been such a movement in the world that put in danger Jews like what they do in not only in Gaza, in the West Bank, in East Jerusalem, the expansionism, the ethnic cleansing that goes on now, up till now. Thousands of houses been destroyed in the West Banks, thousands of acres been stolen and been built. This supremacism, this brutality, this ethnic cleansing are not serving what the purpose of the Jews. The Jews will not receiving people who love them because of these vicious barbaric acts. Now about the genocide in Gaza, what the Zionists are specialists to bring hatred to Jews in all over the world in order to force them to leave their places where they live. They want that Jews will not be tolerated in America, Britain, France, Germany. They want all the Jews to emigrate to the great Israel, and there to bring their own, to build their own kingdom and to make a change of religion. Yes, the Zionist state has been supported by Christian evangelists, who give them billions of dollars a year and give them all the power they need in the White House, unfortunately, in the Senate and the Congress, in order to use on and to exploit all the richness and the power, the military and economical and political power from United States of America. United States of America suffer from homelessness. Millions of people sleep in the streets. The economy is very bad. And people have to send their army, to send their children to protect a foreign power which controls America through the Zionist lobby, which makes sure that no politician in America, congressman, senator, or even a president, cannot be elected unless he has to proclaim a total loyalty to who? Not to America, to the state of Israel. And that brings a lot of hatred that's never had in the world, that a real strong state that have any natural resources has to give everything for free for another states. Why? Because their politician has been this. That's not good for us. We the Jews have to be for people that as much less as the non-Jews will think about us, will see us in the street, it's better for us. But if I'll come and I'll try to control, to expand, to steal your property and to kill your children, of course people will start thinking about me, how vicious I am, how barbaric I am, and it's time to be united to kick me out. And that's why the Jews survived 2000 of exile only because they were subservient and friendly and obeyed the laws of all the states which they live. We have extraordinary example how Jews lived in by the Muslim states, so peaceful and so good, because they understood that this great Muslim nation are here to help them and to protect them, and they were very happy to be loyal to them. Zionist nationalist is just another movement that was like the time of the socialist movement, the communist movement. I here just want to show a nationalist foreign power that colonizing, expanding, killing, destroying, and they think that would be the benefit of the Jews. At the contrary, there's the anti-Semitism and hatred to Jews grew up on an amazing extent because of these vicious barbaric acts of ethnic cleansing from Palestine from 1948, 67, and then in the West Bank, and stealing and not allowing for the Muslims to their natural historical right to pray in Jerusalem, and especially now the starvation, the total destruction of Gaza. More than 90% of Gaza has been wiped out. 2.2 million Palestinians, they're not anymore 2.2, I think it's even less than 2 million now, because they killed already hundreds of thousands of people through starvation, bombs, killing, and sicknesses. Is that bring for us the blessed for the Jewish people? I'm asking you, if any Jew see it, is that bring for us a blessed that in our name, yes, people, the Zionist army, this Zionist vicious terrorist army, wipe out another nation? Is that going to bring us a blessed, good name? Yeah, we the Jews know that we're the chosen people. Is that a chosen race, a nationalist race that's supposed to kill and expand and destroy and exploit other nations? No. Chosen people is just because we received the Torah, and through the Torah we have more commandments. Yes, but that doesn't mean that it's given us in the world a right to kill and to be so vicious and to kill them with starvation, which the Torah says that death through starvation is much worse than a death with a sword or with a bullet. It's much worse. The pain, we feel the pain. We cry out for the destruction of Gaza. We're crying for the genocide of my Palestinian brothers and sisters, because the Palestinians were tolerating the Jews. I forgot about talking about how good they were for Jews. I spoke to a Palestinian person, which his grandfather, he was a police officer by the time of the British regime mandate in Palestine. When there used to be Jewish immigrants that fled from Europe, from the Nazi Holocaust, he used to come and take them from the beach and smuggle them into the Palestine against the British law. Would you believe it? He had a mercy on them. And he told me, now take a look, their descendants have kicked me out from Palestine. I told him, these are not Jews. Those who did to us are not Jews. Because all the Zionist terror gangs that what committed was the war crimes and the ethnic cleansing in 1948 were very, 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 very strong atheists. They even did not believe in God. Who talks about all the 613 commandments of the Torah? So we have to say that what we have to put at the foundation is that the real Jewish people, and we have even more than 1 million people in Palestine, America, Great Britain, Australia, and France, which are opposing the basic existence of State of Israel. The State of Israel does not bring any blessed, not for Jews, not for Muslims. State of Israel brought destruction on Jews and on Muslims. State of Israel endangering Jews and Muslims in the world. The existence of State of Israel is forbidden by the Torah, and all their acts are not represent the real Judaism. Real Judaism is mercy, tolerance, and even love even non-Jews. We even commanded to love non-Jews, to help them, give them charity, help them with what we can, and that's, thank God, we do it every day. So I'm asking also my Jewish colleagues, open your eyes and take a look to what that disaster the State of Israel bringing what for Jews and Muslims combined. The suffer that non-Jews and Jews having from the State of Israel is enormous. It's unbelievable that the world sitting quiet, seeing what they're not quiet, thank God, but the world wake up and see the genocide, the ethnic cleansing, the theft, the brutality to all men and women, to babies and children. So many innocent lives have been destroyed forever. People become sick forever. How many people became blind because of the Zionist atrocities? It has to be stopped. The first thing is that we need the world nation will stop the genocide, kicking out the Zionist military, terrorist military from Gaza and from the West Bank of East Jerusalem. That's the first thing before everything. Allow a steady flow supply of clean water, clothing, food from all types, without any restrictions. And then yes, to allow to dismantle this vicious terrorist state of Israel and bringing peace back again to the Middle East by establishing a Palestinian state from the river to the sea that would welcome and tolerate Jews, Muslims, and Christians. Pictures today, up till now, even after the foundation of this vicious Zionist entity, we see an example of 12,000 Jews in Morocco that live so peaceful with their Muslim neighbors. Jerba, Tunisia, it's an island. The Muslim neighbors are tolerate and love their neighbors because they know that they have nothing to do with Zionism, and that's also in Morocco. Iran, I can tell you one story. In middle of the 12 days war that the Zionist regime has waged, this horrific war that killed so many innocent people in Iran, in middle of the war, there was Iranian soldiers went into a synagogue, Jewish synagogue in Tehran, and they prayed there. Who were these soldiers? They were Jewish soldiers that were happy and loyal to their land and to serve their land in a time of a war. So they came with their uniform to practice their Jewish religion. Jews are very welcome in Iran. Iran is not a vicious country. It's a very peaceful country. Tolerate always. They have an outstanding history of helping, hosting, and having mercy on Jews. It's just as well today that the Zionists, in order to justify the occupation, ethnic cleansing, and genocide, must rewrite and falsify the history. They are having a very hard time to distort the history that Muslims were so good for Jews, and now they would like to show that Muslims were bad for Jews. So why do we have to look at the history of 1400 years that combined that Muslims were great people for Jews? We look up till now in Morocco, Tunisia, and Iran, and in Turkey. We have the 5 Muslim states, main state, that there's many Jews live there. Altogether, we're talking about 140, 150,000, I don't know the exact number, but it's a large number fairly. You can ask the Jews that, do they have problems from their Muslim neighbors? The answer is no. But why, if they would have had problems from their neighbors, they would have got out. There was even one, the current of Zionist was the war criminal, Netanyahu. This terrorist that killed, that was having in his hands blood of hundreds of thousands of Palestinians, innocent Palestinians, in his filthy hands. He went to Jerba, there's about 1,000 Jews who live there. And he was asking them, come to Israel, come to the Zionist entity. They told him, no, we're not interested. We're not enemies, and our Muslims are not our Arabs, and Muslims are not our enemies, and we live here good. We would like to remain Jews also because of our religion, and every Jew that comes to your land, you're trying to destroy his religion and to make him a liberal Zionist atheist. So this rebellion that's supported by some rich people and by this Christian evangelist here will be failed, because the Torah says that this rebellion will be failed. The rebellions against God has no success, and as many more Palestinians they're going to kill, will be bigger the punishment that they're going to receive. So as I said, the only solution is the dismantling of this Zionist state, bringing back the land for its owners, that's the Palestinians, and they will assure that Jews and Christians will receive a fair treatment from the Muslims, as it was. The Muslim nation does not need my recommendation. They, just as they were great, to Jews and Christians, they're ready to do it. As we know, even one of outstanding example, the Sultan Al-Khalif Salahuddin Al-Ayyubi, Salahuddin Yusuf Al-Ayyubi, he was a great sultan, and he was great for Jews and for non-Jews as well, for Christians as well. I remember there was a case that in the middle of the battle, a woman has lost her daughter, and she was lost her daughter, and she was captured by Muslims soldiers. That was at the time of the fight against the Crusaders, and this Muslim soldier took her. I don't know what was the purpose, maybe to marry her. It makes no difference. And she went. The woman cried to the Sultan, and she told him, one of your soldiers captured my daughter. And he quickly sent his own team of a special police force that found this daughter and brought her back to her mother. We have a lot of things to thank and to admire, especially the Sultan al-Nasir Yusuf Salahuddin al-Ayyubi, because of his great mercy that he had on Jews. The Crusaders, when they conquered Palestine, they killed all the Jews in Jerusalem, and they put them into a synagogue, and they burned the synagogue, 300 Jews in Jerusalem. After 88 years of conquest, of the Christian conquest of Palestine, Al-Khalif Nur ad-Din Zanki, he was the father-in-law, he was like the adopted father of Salahuddin, started to attack, to try to release Palestine from Christian conquest, and then his adopted son, Al-Khalif Nasir Salahuddin al-Ayyubi, has released Palestine. One of the first fatwa which he gave out is as a religious verdict is to allow Jews come back to Palestine and to rebuild their Jewish institutions, and to come back to live in Jerusalem, in all Palestine. That was a special request of his personal doctor and advisor, is Rabbi Moshe ben Maimon, the Maimonides, as you know. But why would we have to go that far? If we go to the Harun al-Rashid, Harun al-Rashid was the great Caliph in Baghdad from the Abbasids. He used to give 1,000 dirham, it's a silver coin, for charity every day with Jews. Poor Jews were piled up, it was in front of his palace, and used to have a lot of share from this charity. Yes, my parents used to tell me that they used to receive a sheep every time before it was a Jewish Pesach holiday from their Muslim neighbors. And used to have bags of dates, bags of potatoes, and etc. and etc. That was the great relation between Jews and Muslims, with the Zionists trying to erase. They don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear what the ambassador, the Iranian ambassador, Abdul Hussein al-Sardari, the Iranian ambassador to Paris, have saved about 1,000 Jews from being deported to the death camps. He gave them Persian passports. He even gave it to some Russian Jews that were stuck in Paris and were supposed to be expelled to the death camps. He gave them false passports that they were Iranians. And he didn't allow, and he used to pay a lot of money for Nazi officers in order that they should keep their mouth shut and not try to deport these Jews. We always were going to remember the Imam in Paris, the main Imam in Paris, I forgot his name, who gave hundreds of certificates for Jews that they're Muslims, and that's how they avoided deportation and a deportation to the death camps in Auschwitz. That's only one case. We will never forget what the king of Morocco, Muhammad IV, that have said to Hitler, "No, I'm not going to allow deportation of my Jewish inhabitants in Morocco." There was about 100,000 Jews, and the Nazis have demanded that the king will allow them to be deported to Poland, to the death camps, and it didn't happen because the king didn't allow it. We will never forget what the Shah, the Shah was the Shah of Iran at the time of the Second World War, that told explicitly to Hitler, and you have to understand, Iran was an ally of Nazi Germany till Hitler decided, was asking, can you stop giving so many rights for the Jews in Iran? Can you start push them into the ghettos and concentration camps? So the Shah have said, no way. We consider the Jewish people as a first-class citizens, and we're going to protect them and we're going to help them. We're very happy to have them here, and we're not going to change the status of the Jews in Iran. We will never forget that Jews were protected in Syria and Turkey during First World War, and many, many favors that the Muslim did. If I will tell you how many favors happened here, I can tell you one thing. Miron, it's a mountain, Jermak. It's a mountain that's very holy for us. In Miron, there was in 1912, there was a big disaster. Part of the building was collapsing, and many people, 9 people were killed. Hundreds of people were injured, badly injured. At that time, there were no ambulances. There was no medical centers right on the place. The closest medical center was in Safat, so the Arab Jewish state, city, far away, about 20 kilometers away, 12 miles away from Iran. Hussein Effendi, he was the governor of the north of Palestine in the behalf of the Turkish Caliphate, the Turkish Empire. He closed the whole area. He called doctors, private doctors, which he paid them, to heal and to give a first treatment, first help for the wounded people. And then he gave a mandatorial demand of all the Palestinians and everyone that have a wagon with a horse to come and to evacuate all the wounded people to a Jewish hospital in Safat. And he paid them from his own pocket. So there's thousands of such cases that Muslims shows tolerance, mercy, help, and sympathy for Jews. So there's no justification, even though the Torah itself, the main reason is that we're not allowed to have a state. We're not allowed to kill innocent people. We're not allowed to have our own army. But even from practically, there's no justification to have a state with a military, with a foreign power, with a power that we should control and cause problems between nations. That's not Judaism. That's racism. That's fascism. Judaism It's a people that beloved by all the people in the world. Judaism is mercy, believe in one God, prophecy, charity, and learning what the Torah. Anything besides this, killing, expanding, destroying, creating ethnic cleansing, it's far away like east and west from each other. It's not belong to us. We condemn it. We live with what we live with the Gaza people. If you go to Stanford Hill and ask, would you think it's a good thing, the genocide? Everyone would tell you, God forbid. The Torah does not allow it. We're against it. We can't see the pictures of babies starving to death in Gaza. It's very painful to me. I am having contact with Palestinian people. I give them what condolences and a lot of encouragement, not to lose the hope that one day, and soon I hope inshallah, that Palestine will be given back to them, and we Jews and Palestinians and Muslims will live with harmony, peacefully, as brothers, as it was and as it is now, not as it was 100 years ago, as it is now in Iran, Turkey, Tunisia, and Morocco. Yes, inshallah, and soon we will have it, and we hope to keep work together for a better future for our children and to enjoy from the extraordinary great neighboring relations in Stanford Hill, Gateshead, and yes, inshallah, in Palestine itself and in America, all over the place. Thank you so much.